The Steelers finally fire Matt Canada, and it's about damn time. I've got a stat here that I posted on my Instagram story earlier today, and I just had to share it with you guys on the show. These are the records of teams. So, excuse me, there's been 7 teams that were outgained in every game in the first 10 games of the season since 2000. There's been 7 teams to do it. The '05 Niners, the '09 Bucks, the '08 Chiefs, the '05 Texans, the '01 Panthers, and the 2020 Jets. And of course, the 2023 Steelers. Was that the '06 Niners? No, the '05 Niners started 2-8 when they were outgained in their first 10 games of the year in 2005. The 2009 Buccaneers started 1-9 when they were outgained in their first 10 games of the season in 2009. The 2008 Chiefs started 1-9 when they were outgained in the first 10 games of the season. The 2005 Texans were 1-9 when they were outgained in the first 10 games of the season. The '01 Panthers also 1-9, and the 2020 Jets were 0-10 when they were outgained in the first 10 games of the season. Would you happen to know that the Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-4 and have been outgained in every game so far? The other teams had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 combined wins. The other 6 teams that were outgained in the first 10 games of the season. So that's a shout out to Mike Tomlin. That's a shout out to the defensive coordinating. That is a direct correlation of scheming, coaching, having the right superstars at the right positions, and that's going to be a credit to that Mike Tomlin scheme or that Mike Tomlin era and the Mike Tomlin culture that he has put on the defense and overall the Steelers defensive culture that we know is present there. But we know that the quarterbacks and running back coaches have now jumped in to share the role. And, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Deontay Johnson, hell, even Jalen Warren, they are good players, if not great players. Kenny Pickett might leave you out of it. Unfortunately, you're good when you want to be. I don't think you're franchise QB though. Just between me, you, and the wall. But knowing all of those players that were under the horrible mismanagement of Matt Canada, all of the talent there, and I've got an article here that was very, very well written just to break down how ugly it truthfully was for Matt Canada with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So let's go ahead and jump right into every miserable offensive stat that was under Matt Canada. On a per drive basis in 2023, the Steelers offense ranks 31st in time of possession. They don't hold the ball long. 31st in plays. They don't run a lot of offensive plays. 30th in yards, 29th in points. They're 30th in first downs this season. They're 31st in passing yards. They're 29th in scoring drive percentage, which is the number of drives that ended points in general. From a per game standpoint, here's where the Steelers have ranked over the last 3 seasons in terms of points: 21st in 2021, 26th in 2022, 28th in 2023, a very slow descent towards the bottom of the pack. Pittsburgh is averaging 16.6 points per game this year, so we'll go ahead and give them 17. That's 2 touchdowns with extra points converted and a field goal. That would be worse than the 2019 output with a second-year Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges rotating, a.k.a. Was it Duck Hodges? What was his first name? It was not Duck Hodges. Hold on, I have to research that. What was his first name? Devlin Hodges. Okay. I knew about Mason Rudolph back there, but that would be worse than the 2019 output with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges rotating at quarterback. They average 18.1 points per game. If 2023's numbers hold, it will be the Steelers' worst output since 1970, when they averaged 15 points per game and finished 5-9 in Chuck Noll's second season. Some other point stats under Matt Canada: the Steelers haven't scored 30 points in a win in 51 games, the longest NFL streak right now. They have never scored 30 points under Matt Canada in 51 games. They haven't scored 30 points. It's been more than a year since the Steelers scored 30 points in any game, regardless of outcome. They haven't scored. Hold on. The Steelers haven't scored 30 points in a win. Oh, so the Steelers haven't scored 30 points in a win in 51's game. In 51 games, the longest streak in the NFL. They never achieved it under Matt Canada. Never. It's been more than 1 year since the Steelers scored 30 points in any game, regardless of outcome, win or loss. They last did that on November 20th of last year, 2022. They lost 37-30 to the Bengals. They scored 30 points only twice under Matt Canada, the least by any team in the NFL. They only had 16 games with 21-plus points. That's 30th in the NFL since 2021, only ahead of the New York Jets and the New York Giants. Compare that to those offenses and the talent that you actually have in Pittsburgh. In 2023, the Steelers have 4 games with 10 or fewer points. That is second worst in football. Only the Giants have more with 5. During his tenure, Pittsburgh won only 3 games by more than 1 score. My God. That's tied with the Atlanta Falcons and Giants for the fewest in football. A team stat, not just an offensive one, but those close outcomes weren't exactly because this team was playing in big-time shootouts, and that is a fact. They were not putting up points under Matt Canada. From 2021 to 2023, the Steelers have scored 79 touchdowns. Only the New York Jets have less with 76. In 2023, they've scored 16 touchdowns. Only the Titans, Patriots, and Jets have less. With Matt Canada, the Steelers' offensive coordinator, Pittsburgh only threw 42 passing touchdowns. That's tied for 29th. Only the New York Jets and Carolina Panthers were worse, each team throwing 41. Since week 4 of the season, a 7-game span for Pittsburgh, the Steelers have 3 passing touchdowns. That's dead last in the NFL. The Steelers have never had a 400-yard game under Matt Canada. They're the only team to not have a 400-yard game since 2021. From a per-game standpoint, in total yardage year by year, 28th this year. They were 23rd last year. They were 23rd the year before. If the Steelers were to finish 28th in yardage, it would be their second worst finish in the last 33 years since 1990. The only time it was worse was 2019 when, again, Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges were back there with the Steelers. No offensive talent. I believe that was the year that Big Ben actually ruined his elbow. 701. Yes, ma'am. Thanks for watching me over at work, babe. Show me off to all the new coworkers. I'll be coming in there training soon. Since week 4 to present day, the Steelers have 1,074 passing yards. That's last in the NFL, a full 70 yards behind the Cleveland Browns, who have started 3 different quarterbacks over that time frame. I had to give it to you guys, Steelers fans, in terms of how bad it actually was under Matt Canada. And I'm sure you know that, but as the show, I wanted to come out and give you these numbers so you understand the type of hell that you're on from in your offensive coordinator. Pittsburgh's red zone ranking by year: 25th this year, 23rd last year, 23rd the year before. Somehow worse this year than the last 2 seasons, which is kind of a question mark because you have since 2021, the Steelers have scored on 13 opening possessions in the NFL. That's tied for 26th. Only 3 of those drives resulted in touchdowns. That's tied for 21st. Somehow kind of a good number here. 26 punts on opening possessions is second to last in football. Only the New York Jets have more at 29. And on 3rd and long, which is 7 yards or more, Pittsburgh's only converted 19.2% of the time under Matt Canada. That's 28th in the NFL. And just one last thing. According to Pro Football Reference's expected points, which is basically a measure of offensive and defensive success, the Steelers have been negative in exactly half of their games, 22 of 44. In 2023, they've been negative in 6 of 10. So all of that out there, they were bad situationally. They were bad at points per game, yards per game, touchdowns, scoring drive percentage, yards in general for a game. I mean, it was very, very, very bad for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The next offensive coordinator in line is the same guys I've been saying all year for multiple teams that either need to go get a head coach or need to go get an offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson in Detroit, Frank Smith in Miami, and Eric Bieniemy sitting, they're sitting at a 4-8 record. Eric Bieniemy, if he's not going to become the head coach behind Ron Rivera, if Ron Rivera is not moved on from, the Steelers have to give a call. The Steelers have to give a call to one of these guys before they possibly ruin all the offensive talent that they have right now. With the Pickens, with the Najee, with the Deontay Johnson, with the Darnell Wright, with the Pat Freiermuth. Someone to get Kenny Pickett right, because I do believe Kenny Pickett can kind of be Brock Purdy-esque. He just has to be set up for it. The Steelers have to make a call. They have to get someone in there before this offense is wasted. And you don't want to waste an offense when you have a defense and a coaching staff this good behind it. So the Steelers did fire Matt Canada. Steelers fans, get in the comments, in the chat. Let me know what you think about them finally moving on and really who should be your next your next offensive coordinator.